Well, I want this to be more of a conversation. I have a couple of thoughts or ideas as we talk about it, and then we can just discuss and kind of exchange ideas and network almost. So my name's Caitlin Titus. I'm filling in for Scott Harris tonight for his track on college students and missions. A little bit about my story. I was a missionary kid in East Asia. So I was born in Taiwan, and then I grew up in China and Mongolia, and then I ended my high school years in Taiwan. I went to boarding school there. And so then when I came back to the States, I went to a pretty large private Christian university in Virginia. And then when I was there, I got involved in student leadership and just fell in love with student development. And so as I got into my career with residence life, I kind of realized, hey, I love the intersection of discipleship, mentorship, missions, and college students. And I kind of expanded it to kind of say, hey, what is their missional calling, whether that's locally where they're living in the States or abroad. And then I've just started in January at Grand Canyon University working with Global Outreach in our spiritual life department. And so this talk is a little bit about what Global Outreach's model is at GCU, and kind of what we do to try to engage college students for ministry, both here in Phoenix and overseas as a larger, and then kind of the conversations or theories that kind of shaped our approach to that a little bit. So this is further away. If you guys want to give me your email, I can email this to you so you guys can see it later. But our vision is to give students the opportunity to develop a deeper relationship with Christ, and kind of showing them how they can be a part of God's mission in the city of Phoenix. We engage anyone that falls into the international community. So a lot of that, especially around GCU, because that's in South Glendale, Maryville area, we have a lot of refugee families that have been resettled there. And then we also have organizations that work with people seeking asylum. So we partner with some non-faith-based organizations, and we also partner with faith-based organizations along the I-17 corridor, and then a little bit of downtown Phoenix. So that's about as far as our radius goes in ministry locally, because college students, they love to have it fast and easy, which we'll talk about in a minute on nuances with this generation. We have a model of kind of converging on 3 different ideas with our ministry. So right now we have about 12 ministries, and it is student-run, staff-assisted. So our model is that we hire student leaders who are on scholarship. Anders was one on local outreach back in the day. So they receive a full scholarship to manage a partnership with an outside organization or run the ministry. Sometimes we go to complexes with no organizational presence, but they get funding from the university to run the ministries, purchase supplies, and then they're also responsible to mobilize students on campus to come and volunteer. And so we try to hit 3 different areas that we see as the stages of a student's development towards a missional life. Hands-on ministry, getting involved in the community, engaging with people. A lot of our hands-on ministries are with refugee families, ranging from kids ministry all the way to adults and ESL classes. And we are trying to expand even more. We just started a new youth ministry. We're trying to kind of see where are some holes in our model. And then the next one is training and mobilization. So we try to focus on engaging students and saying, hey, is short-term or long-term missions in your horizon? Here's some organizations that we can connect you with. One of those things, we have our own kind of, I would call it an abridged version of the Perspectives course. So the Perspectives course or Pathways, those are all really dense academic approaches to missions. And as we'll talk about soon, the trends with college students, they don't like to read them a lot. They like to have short, they like to have it quick. So we offer a 12-week Bible study on God's heart for missions. We call it Global Project. So that's one way that we funnel students towards missions. We have a mobilizing team. We just call them the missions team. So they mobilize and connect students to organizations. And then we are starting, this is our first year of a missions conference team. So we're finding that with a lot of organizations, especially with short terms, trips, they don't really have the bandwidth bandwidth to offer a onboarding for cultural awareness, evangelism 101, those kind of skills. So we're trying to offer a missions conference on campus to equip students for that as they go on the field. And then the last one is events. So it's the question of, okay, we've got the students who love ministry. They want to do it day in and day out on a weekly basis. We have the students who want to go and do missions. How do we get the students who don't know anything about it engaged? And that's where our events-based ministries come from. So they create events on campus, make it exciting, engaging. We've done bounce houses. We've given away free food, anything to get students involved. And so our vision is to kind of have these different touch points with students, but it's all student run. So as staff, we do project management with it. We collaborate with the students, but we really empower the students to learn, make mistakes, grow, and experiment with that. Because we want them to leave after college knowing how to do a hands-on ministry, knowing how to start an organization from the ground up. Instead of just giving them materials and then just presenting things to them, we want them to have that kinetic education along the way. There are really two influences, I think, in our development approach. If you're looking to focus on spiritual transformation and formation with college students, I really recommend the book Spiritual Formation in Emerging Adulthood by Satran. It covers kind of the 10 areas that college students are facing or questions they're asking, and what does the Bible say about that. But they talk about how in mentorship and with college students, it's this hinge point where they're trying to process their past for the first time. They're processing family dynamics, childhood, kind of asking, who do I want to be as an adult based on my previous experiences? They're trying to have fun in the moment and make sense of the present time, both having fun and, academic development. And then also, who am I going to be in the future? Who do I want to be next? So college students are receiving all this information and trying to make sense of all three of those categories. Typically, they tend to emphasize one over the other. So we can think of a college student who has just been hyper-focused on their past, and they can't get over past shame, past guilt, family dynamics. We have students who all they're focused on is the present. What am I doing today? I don't want to have FOMO. I don't want to miss out. What's good today? And then other kids who are paralyzed by the future. So they're thinking about, man, all I can think about what's next. I can't get over the fear. I'm obsessively focused on just passing this grade, passing this class so I can go and have the job in the future that I want. As a mentor and a discipler with this generation, it's us guiding them through that and trying to make sense of those things and having a real balance in that. So when we're meeting with our college students and our one-on-ones, we are challenging one another to say, hey, where are you leaning too heavily on in this area, and how can we find more balance in it? So maybe one time we meet up with them, it's about finding more balance with their future. Other times it's about the present, and other times it's about processing the past and equipping them towards something else. Another theory approach that we've found helpful is something that came out of Biola University, which was a model of intercultural and missional development. So how do we get college students to engage with their peers interculturally? And this was from Dr. Augustine and Alicia Andre there. And so it has 5 tiers of development. Biblical foundation, so starting with kind of what does this Bible say about this, about evangelism, about missions, about ministry. Interpersonal relationships, how does this impact how I engage other people with different beliefs and worldviews. Cultural humility or intelligence, so now that I love my neighbor, how do I love them well? How do I consider their cultural background and perspective? And even in international student ministry, I think I tend to forget that we're not just engaging them cross-culturally, but we're teaching them how to engage with one another cross-culturally, and that they do have those cultural barriers that they have to work through amongst themselves in community. Personal ownership, what does this mean for me as a believer or as an individual? What do I need to own in missions and intercultural engagement? And then the last one is systemic and structural reflection. What is the bigger picture of this? That can be considering missions. It can be considering the past of missions and what could be better improved. So our goal with our student leaders is that not only are we trying to help them manage these ministries, but we're really trying to help move them further along in their journey of development in that, so that they are strengthened to be better missionaries wherever the Lord places them next in their stage of life. So current trends that I've noticed, and then I'd love for us to do a discussion just with one another on like hardships, challenges, navigating just college student ministry cross-culturally. They're very uneasy about international travel or cross-cultural engagement. I think that the culture has created a fear of offending or insulting someone cross-culturally, and so they kind of get paralyzed in what is right or what is wrong. They are very social justice driven, and they want to make an impact, like a holistic impact on their community. What this can happen is that they don't see how evangelism is part of holistic change as much, and they can kind of neglect evangelism. They can also go the opposite and try to just focus on evangelism without doing holistic community development. And then the last thing is that they really want immediate results now. They struggle to kind of understand that delayed gratification or that long-term fruit from a ministry as well. So those are kind of current trends right now that I'm seeing with college students. I'd love to hear what you guys are seeing in your ministries. Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, I don't know. You can go first, Anders, if you like. I feel like...
I just feel like they really... Like, I'm right there. I graduated a year and a half ago, so I really feel like I'm right there still. And my job is mobilizing students, a lot of what I'm doing. That's why I graduated from DCU and decided that I would be kind of the regional mobilizer, like the Arizona region mobilizer for ChrisStar, and with the purpose of being on campus and meeting with students a lot and different things. And I think one thing that I've seen come up in myself a lot is that desire for immediate gratification.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just want these people to like understand that there's a huge need for the gospel in the world, or I want these people to understand that like they could take a next step, and like like some people did it their whole lives, like growing up. It's very possible to like move overseas, and but I just like need to remind myself more that it's like it's not about that immediate. I don't need that immediate gratification of like. Yes, I have to take a next step with missions. Tell me how. It's like just encouraging and being able to be on campus. But I think even on like the other side of that, I have never been able to relate with college students because there's so many there. And like when I go back to campus now, I'm just like, what in the like this generation? I'm not cool enough to be a part of this generation or like this, the next generation. It's just a whole other world. Like I do not fit in on a college campus anymore, and it did not take that long. It only took like 2 years. So, yeah, I'm actually, I don't know. I'm very intrigued, like by you guys' job and like how you're working with these students, and like every year it changes. And like I don't know if you've experienced that, but just like every year. It seems like there's different trends and there's different things with students, and just adapting I feel like seems so necessary in any jobs working with students, and I'm trying to learn that. It's hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that's what you were asking.
No, that was exactly what I was like looking for. Yeah, that was very insightful. What about you, like in your ministry, working with international students, or maybe trying to mobilize American students to engage? What are some like trends you're seeing?
Oh yeah, I feel like not many of them. Like from what I know that like the international students like want to make friends with the American students, but I feel like the American students maybe like don't realize that they want to be befriended, but I don't think they know really how to like interact with like cross-culturally a lot, unless they've really like done their research or had more experience like studying somewhere else in America. But so they tend to just like stay within their own like culture. So like when you said they don't interact, yeah. And I think some of them kind of want to voice their opinions more while they're here for social justice, whether it be here or in their countries. But yeah, I mean, I definitely like feel old and stuff.
I feel older and older every year. It's just the trends change every time.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, there's a student at GCU, his brother-in-law, I went to school with, you know, Mitch Sauter.
Yeah.
So his sister Ellie, I went to school with her, and we all graduated like between a year and 3 years ago. Me, Ellie, and then Ellie's husband, Dale. And what I'm getting at is he is like the trendiest person that I know.
Yeah.
And he's always wearing the new thing. He's always looking. He's got all these tattoos. He's got baggy jeans. He's done all the everything. He skates. But even the other day, I was talking to Mitch, and he said that his brother-in-law, Dale, he was like, I can't keep up. Like, it was so exhausted because like every week, like everyone expects me to be on top of like the next trend or like the next thing that people see on TikTok. And it's almost like this pressure. He literally said he feels pressure to like look like a certain way, and he's just getting sick of it.
Yeah. Mitch told you that, or Dale?
Mitch told me about what Dale said.
Yeah.
It's just so like, wow, like someone that I look at and I'm like, they are so much cooler, you know.
Yeah, like they're keeping up with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no worries.
With the it's my wife's
Oh, it's great to meet you.
I was calling him.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
No worries. We're just talking about like trends we see with American students trying to mobilize them, but also like international students. Like, what is unique about the college students right now? What are some hard things? And each one's kind of unique.
Things you guys.
Yeah, you can go first, Anders, if you want.
Yeah, I mentioned just being a mobilizer for a missions organization and trying to be on campus, and I only graduated a year and a half ago, and I feel so far removed.
Yeah.
I was saying I can relate. We talked about like immediate gratification and how that's a thing that students want, and how when it comes to ministry that can be really hard because you don't get to see, you know, the Lord doesn't always work in that way that He allows us to see those things immediately or ever. But I kind of find myself in that realm too with mobilizing. I want every conversation I talk to, I want them to be a step closer to missions, and maybe they are. I'm not able to see it. But then I also talked about how I feel so far from our culture, from this culture, and how I can tell there's like so many challenges and on college campuses and with students today. And one thing that we were talking about is like everyone feels almost this pressure to keep up with the trends or with the, you know, what's like in and what people expect of them as a culture. So I think there's a lot of external pressure put on this culture or this
generation almost,
such a simple word, to like be a certain way or to look a certain way or do a certain thing.
You can share too, Britta, what you talked about.
Yeah, I think I think our students have trouble like interacting, not necessarily like talking with other American students, but actually like becoming friends with them or like feeling welcome in American homes too. So I think it's hard for them to interact cross-culturally at points, and it's hard for us to recruit. I was going to touch on to recruit American students to help us out. Yeah, we've had like one. It's mostly like other volunteers, which is awesome, and they love it. But we'd love to have like more American students join us. But they're just used to other things. Don't have a vision for it.
I think international student ministry even is changing and evolving since even we don't have this long history of it, but even since 2017, looking back, I think that immediate gratification, seeing lives transformed by the gospel, that, praise the Lord, that does still happen. But I think it's a lot more like our ministries are like dripping effects. Drip, drip, drip. It's more like long-term missions where you're settling, and it's not a short-term mission trip where you're just, come to our group and get saved. You know, it's kind of like building into a long, hopefully a 2 to 6 year relationship with our student, and having those conversations as the Lord opens doors for that to happen. And we have a recent graduate from the University of Arizona that was part of an international, she's an American student, part of an international student ministry there that's been, I think, over 30 years and experienced a lot of like conversions of Chinese students, and she came to our group and she began kind of like a discussion group with me, and I could tell that she was wanting to get there quick, like too quick. And I've been trying to
form a Bible study,
like the
meet your
first
friends.
just have a Bible study and any prayer requests tonight that you guys have, and just like, so there's been
She's hung on though.
She's great. We love her, and so thankful she's a part. And we recognize that though, that this ministry is different, and most of our students are skeptics, and they're not as maybe open as what you're used to, and this is going to be a slower process, and one that is going to require our faithfulness and our consistency, and just continuing to show up. Even on weeks that it feels like, man, I'm not sure we had a lot of ministry quote moments, and things.
Yeah.
But, so yeah.
Delayed gratification.
Yep.
Yeah.
That'll be a
Yeah, I think so. Growing up as a missionary kid, I saw a lot with the ministries that people that would come in. There was a separation in technology, right? Like you got the Western world just developing technology constantly, but there was this like preservation of traditional culture in East Asia and China and Mongolia, and now that is not the case. College students are the same, and they're being exposed to the same trends no matter what. So like last night, I went to Topgolf with some friends, and they brought one of their coworkers who is an Afghan refugee. He just got here in December. He's 22. He said, "Hey, I've got 3,000 followers on Instagram. You got to get a video for the gram." And I was like, "You have more followers than I do for sure. And you just came from like Afghanistan. That's crazy." And it's like he's thinking about that, even though he came from a country that even 5 years ago wasn't even thinking about that. There wasn't this idea of followers, Instagram, keeping up with people. And so I think the overlap of discipling our American students are going to be essentially the same as discipling international students. And the challenge with international student ministry is learning how to co-disciple them. So you're mobilizing missionaries simultaneously while trying to reach international students in the international community. So where do you guys see some overlap? And that's one overlap. What are some other overlaps between the American college student experience and the international college student experience in your different spheres of ministry?
One thing I think that we see is that when we first started working with like graduate students, visiting scholars in their early to mid-20s, some married with children, it was a very different experience than the undergrad from China that's very wealthy and India, whatever, and has traveled the world and has all the Instagram followers and all the different things. We learned quickly, boy, that's like they felt more like an American student than the visiting scholars who are like, wanting to take your English class on Saturday or whatever, And so that was a pretty noticeable thing early on. And then as we've done this just for a few years here, we've seen that year one, when they first get here, first 2 or 3 months, everything is new and exciting, and I want to come and be involved. In year two, not so much. We've done that before. We've been to the Grand Canyon. We've been to these different groups. We've been to an American home. We've done some things. It's not new anymore, right? And then we've also seen within probably 10% of our group this year, they've really gotten into the university party scene, making poor choices, just coming to our group, but being hungover to where they can't even come to something the next time. And so that's happening more and more. I think, especially with our younger.
Some of the younger ones are coming to America for that
experience, kind of like the
experience.
Because most of their university experience is very academic and high pressure and all the things, and then here they're like, well, it's just a party.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you see on TikTok too. First thing I did before I moved to GCU, which I I looked up GCU on TikTok and I was like, oh, this is GCU student life. There's a lot more to it, but that's what they're looking for now. Where before they their family and them, they knew they were going for academics.
Right.
Now they could already build up that expectation, and it can easily get plugged in a lot faster than even just since I was an undergrad when I graduated in 2017. So it's definitely changing a lot now.
Are you you're not a student?
No, so I work as staff now at Grand Canyon University, and I work in global outreach within spiritual life. So our goal is to mobilize student leaders to run ministries in the city, working with the international groups, and then they mobilize other student leaders to be volunteers. So I started in January, and then before that I worked in residence life at Liberty University in Virginia. So I've been in student engagement for a while.
Very Barton?
No, I don't think so. Where did they work?
She goes to our church, and she has a cousin that just started at GCU doing on-campus ministry with international students, and her husband went to Liberty.
Oh no, that's cool. I feel like we have a lot of overlap. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. That's a very small world, though, actually.
Funny.
No.
The U.S. private.
Yeah.
Yeah. The loop is keeps getting smaller.
Yeah. And then you work for a missions organization, like I do, and now I realize everybody knows everybody. I mean, she knows someone is on staff with at Christopher. So it's just
all these connections.
And you mentioned bridges. We totally know people that you know.
Oh, yeah. I was like, did you guys help out for a bit?
Yeah.
Okay. I know we didn't interact a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we know that's what it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you work for Bridges?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At ASU?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess you started after we didn't volunteer.
Yeah.
It was... I only saw you guys a little bit. I don't know if you
Okay.
Yeah.
I started in 2020, like August.
Okay.
We served and helped volunteer with multiple groups. And,
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we weren't, and then we started this 2 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So good.
So,
We thought we were
Wow.
going back to China
yeah, we thought we
for
were
like 2 years.
Yeah, so, but
And then
anyway,
it did.
yeah.
Oh,
So we were settling in, and
okay.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
very thankful.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah, but
Such a small world.
yeah, it is.
So, like, you said you did college ministry before that in China,
Well, yeah, we
right? Yeah.
teachers. Yeah.
Okay, so.
What advice would you give to people who are just entering into that sphere of college students and engaging with that age group and kind of battling the present, the future?
Or
Cross-culturally, yeah. I think it kind of, even cross-culturally, it works with all the other.
That's a good question.
two words we always talk about is motivation and expectation. So I think motivation, like what's your motivation to mobilize, the mentor, the disciple, and then also balancing that with healthy expectations. And as I shared earlier, our desire never was to have a big international student ministry, but hopefully one that was impactful. And so if I was mobilizing, I would rather do it with a few deeper than the width and spinning plates and dealing with non-committed people. You know, so and I know that's a challenge with you know, university age students. But also it's such a blessing because we're in a season of life. Our daughter is entering into college. She takes dual enrollment at GCU, and she's working through the decision before her, and so kind of but we love the campus ministry of a university and the vibe,
the energy.
We like that. We always
For
have.
my advice would be make connections.
Yeah.
Network.
Yeah, network and make connections.
be teachable. Yeah, because methods are always changing, in terms of how we go about doing it. You mentioned perspectives being kind of an academic. We took 2 or 3 college age through a program called Momentum. Yes,
I haven't heard of that one.
it's really like a good. It's really good. It's like a much scaled down perspectives.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. It's like you should check it out. It's very easy to run, to lead.
It's free online.
It's free online. You could do you can do it over a long period of time or a more condensed period of time. I've heard Kairos and that are much easier to do than perspectives or halfway. I've said they're all good. They're just depending on what you are able to, to do and commit to. And so, but what you're speaking about is one of my passions is to work with. We've talked about maybe trying to, at some point, having some type of internship where we would expose them to the ministry. They would serve. They would. Our daughter's kind of been doing that. She does the Instagram and all the technology and QR code.
She's the co-leader with him.
So anyway, kind of like just and because there's so many, like you said, they have so much to offer. And can help us so much, and we can learn so much from them, and the blessing that they can be to the group is huge.
Something else when I think about what we've learned, we just learn every day, but it's getting the international students involved, even when they aren't fully
Christians, even in serving in some type of way, even as non-believers. I'm a huge advocate of that.
Like they feel like they're such an important part of the group, and if they're not there, then they'll be missed or something.
Something doesn't get done because they're not there.
I think that gives them so much ownership.
Because if we waited till everyone was a Christian before they started serving, we would do everything. Right?
Yeah.
So do they leave like? I don't know. Do they, there's nothing from a spiritual component, but setting up dinner, meals, promoting, sharing. Yes. And that's something that's kind of in some. We're thankful. We don't have organizational pressure nor church pressure to produce numbers or reports or anything like that. So it's a real cool season of ministry for us because we've been in that before, where we've been on church staff, done some of the stuff where we felt like we had to share how many people came to faith or how many people, for either funding purposes or promotional purposes or.
And are you all full time?
I am. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm full time. Okay.
So that's been a cool season of and we both work as teachers.
We're both teachers.
That's kind of our funding in some regard, kind of our tent making to do it. I mean, we raise support, but we don't raise, or Jay doesn't raise enough full-time support. So.
Yeah, I think you mentioned like that idea of like we're just all like slowly investing and nurturing the seeds, and I think that is really need to be remembered when working with college students because we only have them for 4 years, or if realistically actually 3 years, because their freshman year they're wandering around, we've never met them, we're like trying to find them or connect them. I think that's something that I've had to remember, and I've been doing this for like working full time at university for 6 years. This idea of like, hey, I'm meant to come along some point in their path, but I'm not going to be able to see the full fruit of it, even at this point, because they're so distracted, or there's just so much going on. And we look at our own lives. Things didn't start taking root until I was 25, at the least, and then it's going to only get better as I get older. So I think that's an encouragement with like the delayed gratification with that too, of like, but as you guys look at like Scripture and just what are some encouragement from Scripture in working with college students that you guys may have? I can share one for me, and then I love to hear what you guys have. I think I find a lot of encouragement in the story of David. How David was around 17, young adulthood, when he was told where he was going to go in life with the Lord, but he spent a large portion of his like young adulthood just being prepared in that way. And so that's why I try to remind a lot of my students when they're waiting for that delayed gratification is like, hey, the Lord is, even like King David, who is like the greatest like king of Israel, he had lots of waiting and lots of doubting, where he was not seeing the fruit of like the vision, the calling that he had. And so we can be patient and work with that. And we were gifted the Psalms that were written by David to understand that like restlessness, to understand that like desire to see something come of our life. But like the journey and that like long suffering of waiting is really character forming for them. And that's me trying to remind them to wait a semester to see what happens. But that's, we're trying to teach them, hey, long term, this is what ministry is going to look like. This is what life is going to be like. This is what marriage is going to look like. Is this like toiling and wrestling with like hoping for what's to come, but like being okay waiting for that still at the same time. So that's something that I found encouragement in working with college students. I love to hear what you guys have kind of seen. You can just popcorn it, but
It's a good reminder for me just in life.
You just say one that I feel like that reminds me of, just like speaking on like age, and not like to like combat that, but at the same time like something I have like been encouraged by is just like anytime I'm reading through the Gospels and like reading about the like little notes that will be on just the inexperience of the disciples and just like the age of the disciples and just like where they were in life shows that they were young men and they were in a very, very influential phase of life, and just like their response to obviously Jesus, like that's like, I'm not coming on campus, it's Jesus. Like, I just want to have been there to see people just drop everything and follow him. But like they were young, and like they like the world would have said that they weren't ready. But they were, and Jesus was like, "You're like drop everything and follow me," and they did. And I just think like I'm so encouraged by that every time I think about like I work with an organization that's been around for over 100 years, and it seems like everyone within our organization has worked with Chris Starr since then. Like, there's so much experience and wisdom in the organization, and I love it. But it's also my wife and I are just so young, and it's like, are we ready? Like, should we? But then it's a good reminder. Like, one, they all started somewhere too, but also like the Lord, like I don't know, is calling us. So anyway, when I think about like meeting the students, and I hear that as like a reason not to serve and not to do ministry, I'm just like, really? Like you. Like, I get it. I get what you're feeling. I feel that too. But like Jesus isn't called the most like experienced, wise, like followers, and, like teachers. Like he calls like the fishermen and the people that like the culture looks at and says like, well, you're probably not gonna do too much. Yeah, that's true.
Or that you're young and you're not.
Yeah, we've even seen that in like Christian movement, just worldwide. It's just like faithful young people, just being okay with losing everything, just because of what could be. Yeah.
Most of the best groups I've ever been in are like multi-generational groups. You know, the idea is that we always have to pocket people based on their age or whatever. And I've always felt not the model that I've always been driven, that I was learned from younger, older, and people my same age. You know what I'm saying? There's just so much value from just, you know, and I think that, not to get off, but I think it's real easy to think that only college students can connect with other college students, and it's only best that missionaries connect with missionaries. You know what I'm saying? And you understand each other in unique ways, which is so valuable and important. But boy, we can learn a lot from the generations and the things, the lessons learned, and your willingness to just, you know, be bold and go and you know and things. So there's such a balance that I think that can be such a healthy encouragement to us all, you know, as we're kind of walking through that. When we've done the momentum, yes, I've always tried to get multiple ages in the group. Missionary kid that's, you know, in his 50s now, and then the young YWAM people that just applied, and then, you know, all these different things, and then we just learn together.
Yeah.
And we kind of walk together in faith, and God does the, you know, the things that He's going to do in and through that, and it's just really a cool thing to see, you know. I would love to see all ages represented in ministries and working with college students, and maybe that's optimistic, but I think there's a desire. I know within international students there's such a respect for like the age of people. Like they really cling to like gray hair wisdom. You know, like if you have like a you've seen that through the years in international student ministries for sure. Probably not as much with American domestic type ministries at all, but
they're starting to get more hungry of it.
You would see like rich hired whatever, and they like really find a place of service in a lot of those settings, like Carolyn and Bridges for all those different people is a beautiful thing to see. You know that.
Yeah, I think, so started in 2017, like in residence life, and I think I've gone through from the millennials to the Gen Z, and now I think Gen Alpha is coming through now, which is a very different group, different breed of Gen Z. But I think what mentorship, there's just so much more hungry for. I think COVID has like really slowed them down to say, I don't know things. And I think I think a lot of them are struggling more social connection, because a lot of them, the key like social development ages of like junior and senior year of high school, they just were online. And then they like, some of their college was canceled and stuff. So each of them have missed out on crucial parts of that. But a lot of them are so hungry for it, but they don't ask for it. They don't know how to ask for it. And so it takes a lot of pursuit from staff. But once you pursue them, they just like hold on to it. Like, and they're just like pursuing. I'm sure you've seen that on campus too. And
I did that on campus. I still go into the spiritual life office to meet with the guy who mentored me at college. I loved that. I needed that.
Do you think they don't even know to ask for it?
I think a lot of them, they think they're too small, surprisingly. Like, even though they are trendy or they've got the followers, a lot of them are like, I don't know why you're making the time. I'm like, why wouldn't I make the time? Also, I'm paid to make the time, but that's beside the point. Like, why would I not? You're incredible, you know? It's crazy in a place of so many, like, platforms, they actually just feel lost in a sea of people more. So like, even though the internet was supposed to make you feel like you stand out, it actually made you feel like, realize how small you were in the world. So I think it's like, but it's that first time connection. They'll hold on to it from then on out with American students, I'm realizing. So for the little bit of time, I really love to close out in prayer and pray for each of your ministries. Is there any specific prayer requests you guys have for your ministries?
We'll be here all day tomorrow, so meeting whoever we meet. Focusing on if it's one student or if it's one family, if it's helping people take those next steps, even if we don't see that. Even if we don't have immediate gratification.
It's so hard.
Just to remain faithful for us, just to keep showing up, being faithful, and
it's really easy when you are dealing with delayed gratification to think, oh, we should just go do something else. You know?
Like the opposite.
Let's go do that.
God doesn't need me. So.
Right.
That's really a thing.
Maybe we should try this or talk about that, especially.
It is hard to discern between that,
Senegal, Africa. I'm like, that seems right. And good.
Me as an adult missionary kid all the time. I'm like, where are we going to go next?
Yes. Me as I don't know.
We struggle with that.
We struggle with that.
for sure.
What about you, Britta?
Yeah, I think just that I would continue to cultivate the relationships I do have with the students and use them. Yes, spend time with them wisely, and I'm in a season of fundraising right now, so just focusing on that and continuing on that.
Yeah, for sure. Can you remind me of y'all's names again, real fast?
Jay and Jennifer.
Jay and Jennifer. Okay, I'll pray real fast for us. Dear Lord, I thank you for Anders, Jay, Jennifer, and Britta as they have just kind of shared the different places you place us all in the city to work with this unique age group, Lord. I think college students are the most exciting because their eyes are open. They want to learn. They want to take in so much. That's why they're in the places that they're at. And so I pray that you'll give all 5 of us just wisdom and discernment on what are the things that you want to teach them, and what are ways that we can strengthen those lessons that you're teaching them, and discern that in our conversations with them. I pray for Anders as he and his wife are in fundraising and also mobilization in the stage as they're waiting to go to where they're going next. I pray that you'll give them stamina for the long haul of their ministry and just discernment in those conversations. Pray for Jay and Jennifer. Pray that they will just have confidence in where you place them, and that you will give them just a sweet taste of how you are using them, a sweet gift, a reminder of just the fruit that will take hold and where they're at in that way. And I pray for Britta as she's doing fundraising, engaging with the students. I pray just for energy with that, because fundraising is a full-time job on its own, and just balancing all the different responsibilities and ministries. In my prayer. Amen. Thank you guys for coming. Hope you guys have a great rest of the conference. And if you guys ever want to get connected with GC or Global Outreach, I can give you guys my contact info. But
Yeah, you should get hers. Our daughter's considering attending GCU.
I would love to, if you guys ever want to meet and talk about it, we just started an MK program this year on campus, and I head that up with some students. So we would really love to help MKs kind of get connected.